Today, ICE announced the arrest of 10 people in Sterling, Virginia for immigration violations. They were all taken into custody after they appeared at the immigration courthouse. This is one of the latest examples of the Trump administration's stepped up efforts to make good on its promise for mass deportations. Joining us now is Alayna Alvarez with Axios. Alayna, thanks for joining me. These enforcement operations that are happening at courthouses, is that new?
It's something that we're seeing developing over the last few weeks, potentially the last month or so. It's happening across the country, this ramp up of arrests of immigrants, as well as just an uptick in ICE's presence in general in courthouses across the country. You mentioned, this is part of a sweeping Trump administration effort to really fast track removals, increase the number of deportations this year. And that strategy is dramatically expanding who gets targeted and how. So to really understand what's driving this trend, we have to look back at a couple of policy changes made earlier this year by the Trump administration. The first being a change made in January that authorized ICE to target courthouses. So this is very much unlike the Biden administration, under whom ICE was not allowed to conduct enforcement operations at or even near courthouses. And there's a second policy shift that's basically supercharged this deportation pipeline and contributed to the surge of courthouse arrests that we're seeing right now. So under a February executive order from President Trump, federal immigration agencies are now defaulting to issuing what are called notices to appear, NTAs, for anyone denied an immigration benefit. So that's asylum, green cards, work permits. This essentially means that someone who's denied something like a visa extension can now be swept into removal proceedings, even without a criminal record. I'm happy to talk about, how this is playing out in the courtrooms, if that's of interest.
Yeah, walk us through how this all plays out. So you may be showing up to extend your visa, and then what happens?
Exactly. So, an immigration court judge that dismisses the case, they're doing so often because Homeland Security either has withdrawn charges against the person that's showing up to their hearing, or because that person has no active relief from removal. In doing so, and in making this dismissal, that opens the door for ICE to swoop in post-dismissal because they're no longer restrained by a pending court case. So this is happening basically moments after someone has their hearing. ICE agents, a lot of them we're hearing are dressing in plain clothes, are, essentially grabbing these folks right after their hearing. Essentially, if immigrants have been in the U.S. for less than 2 years, they can be arrested on site and fast-tracked for deportation. And advocates that we're hearing from are saying, this is a lose-lose situation because you show up to court, you're arrested, but if you fail to appear at your court hearing, that also results in an automatic removal order called an in absentia deportation order. So again, hearing that lose-lose rhetoric from advocates, basically saying courtrooms are now a trap.
Right. So even if you are trying to play by the rules and go to court, it could end up with you being deported anyway if you're following the rules. What do the numbers look like? How often is this really happening?
So we just got fresh federal data today, actually, that really puts the NTAs into perspective. So we're now seeing NTAs issued 2,000 of them every week. This is a major increase, over 100%. We're also seeing, since February, deportation proceedings have been launched against more than 22,100 immigrants. So things are moving really, really quickly. Again, part of a broader strategy to really fast track deportations. We're hearing, the number tripling deportations, getting them up from 1,000 on average to 3,000 now. So this really all just plays into that bigger picture.
And again, these are not people with criminal records, right?
I can't speak for every single one of them, but it has opened the door for people who do not have a criminal record to be swept into these removal proceedings.
What about children? Are they impacted too?
We're hearing in Denver, actually, advocates here are saying they haven't seen anything like this in 20 years that they've been, in the immigration space. Just these last couple of weeks, we saw a toddler and a 6-year-old be part of a group of 8 immigrants who were detained. So in Denver, at least, where I'm reporting from, children have been involved.
Well, Alayna Alvarez, thank you so much from Axios for sharing those new numbers with us.
Thank you for having me.
All right.